the rays of the benediction moon.
It is the light of all transcendental knowledge. It
Increases the ocean of transcendental bliss,
enables us to fully taste the
nectar for which we are
always anxious.
O my Lord,
Your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like
Krishna and Govinda.
In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names.
So unfortunate I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy names of the Lord.
Making myself lower than straw on the street,
One should be more tolerant
than a tree,
devoid of
all sense of false prestige, for all respect unto others.
In such a state of mind, we can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. Almighty Lord, I have no desire to give my wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your closest devotional service further after birth. O Son of Maharaj and Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow have I fallen to the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death, and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? When will the hairs of my body stand on end for recitation of your names? O Govinda, feeling a separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears have flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord. And each remains so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is
Completely free to do anything and everything.
For he is always my worshipful Lord.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from the first canto, 9th chapter, text 23. Bhaktya Mano Yasmin Vacha Yan Nama Kirtayan Chajan Kalevaram Yogi Muchate Kama Karmavi Bhaktya Mano Yasmin Vachayam Nama Kirtayan Tyajan Kalevaram Yogi Muchate Kamakarmavihi Bhaktya Mano Yasmin Bhaktya Mano Yasmin Bhachayam Namakirtayan Tyajan Kalevaram Yogi Muchate Kamakarmavihi.
Bhaktya Mano Yasmin
Bhaktya Mano Yasmin Bhachayam Namakirtana
Chajan Kalevaram Yogi
Chajan Kalevaram Yogi
Muchate Kama Karmavi
Muchate Kama Karmavi Bhaktya Mano Yasmin Bhachayam Namakirtayan Chajan Kalevaram Yogi Muchate Kama Karmavi. Ladies?
Bhaktya
Mano Yasmin Namakirtayan Tyajam Kalevaram Yogi Muchate Kama Karmavi. Bhaktya Mano Yasmin
Tatsayam Nama Kirtayan Nalevaram Yogi Uchate Kama Karma Vi. Anyone else? Word meanings? Bhaktya, with devout attention. Avesha, meditating. Manaha, mind. Yasmin, in whose? Vacha, by words. Yat, Krishna. Nama, holy name. Kirtayan, by chanting. Tyajan, quitting. Kalevaram, this material body. Yogi, the devotee. Muchyate, gets release. Kama karma bihi, karma bihi, from fruitive activities. Translation. The personality of Godhead, who appears in the mind of the devotee by attentive devotion and meditation and by chanting of the holy name, releases the devotee from the material bondage of fruitive activities at the time of his quitting the material body. Then you might say, well, I thought we would become free from karma by becoming Krishna conscious, and here it says at the end. But I think we can understand. For those who are not yet free, then Krishna will take care of you. You don't have to worry. That's the principle of bhakti. Sarvadhamam prityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. You just take shelter of me, sharanam, and don't worry, I'll take care of everything else. So that's the faith the devotee has. If I serve Krishna, I don't have to worry. And even if it appears that maybe I'm not perfect yet, I have a ways to go, but we have that confidence that Krishna will make everything perfect. Let's read the purport. Yoga means concentration of the mind detached from all other subject matter. And actually such concentration is samadhi, or 100% engagement in the service of the Lord. And one who concentrates his attention in that manner is called a yogi. Such a yogi, devotee of the Lord, engages himself 24 hours daily in the service of the Lord, so that his whole attention is engrossed with the thoughts of the Lord in ninefold devotional service, namely hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, praying, becoming a voluntary servant, carrying out orders, establishing a friendly relationship, or offering all that one may possess in the service of the Lord. By such practice of yoga, or linking up in the service of the Lord, one is recognized by the Lord himself, as it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita concerning the highest perfectional stage of samadhi. The Lord calls such a rare devotee the best amongst all yogis. That's the last verse, 6th chapter, Yogi Namapi Sarvesham. Of all the yogis, the devotee is the best. Such a perfect yogi is enabled by the divine grace of the Lord to concentrate his mind upon the Lord with a perfect sense of consciousness. And thus, by chanting his holy name before quitting the body, the yogi is at once transferred by the internal energy of the Lord to one of the eternal planets where there is no question of material life and its concomitant factors. In material existence, a living being has to endure the material conditions of threefold miseries, life after life, according to his fruitive work. Such material life is produced by material desires only. Devotional service to the Lord does not kill the natural desires of the living entity, of the living being, but they are applied in the right cause of devotional service. This qualifies the desire to be transferred to the spiritual sky. The desire. Maybe that was supposed to be devotee. This qualifies the desire. Yeah, maybe that's okay. Let's read it again. Devotional service to the Lord does not kill the natural desires of the living being, but they are applied in the right cause of devotional service. This qualifies the desire to be transferred to the spiritual sky. Okay. General Bhishma Dev is referring to a particular type of yoga called Bhakti Yoga, and he was fortunate enough to have the Lord directly in his presence before he quitted his material body. He therefore desired that the Lord stay before his view in the following verses. Sometimes I look at the publication date because I think there's some errors in it. Quitted his body or he quit his body? 1987, 1990. Okay, so there's a word here, karma bhi. Karma bhi means means activities which produce karma. So most people, if they don't understand spiritual philosophy properly, they think, well, we should create some good karma. Good karma is good, bad karma is bad, so let's create some good karma. Do something good, we get some good karma. But what's being described here and other verses in the Bhagavatam is that the goal is not good karma. The goal is not to avoid bad karma. The goal is no karma. So what's being described in this verse is Bhishma Dev, or what's being described about Bhishma Dev is that because he's Krishna conscious, then when he's leaving his body, there's no karma. I don't know about your country, but in our country, if you don't pay a parking ticket, then when you go to renew your driver's license, they say, well, you have a parking ticket, you haven't paid it, and you have to pay it, or you can't get your driver's license. You have that here? Ticket, you call it a citation? And of course, it's more expensive than when you first got it, right? So you got this $70 ticket, and now it's $200, and you also have to pay for your license, and if you don't pay for the ticket, you can't get a new license. So karma is like that. You want to go back to Godhead, back to Krishna. Krishna, oh, you have some karma. You have to come back and take another body. You have some karma. And you say, but I only have good karma. Which of course is impossible only to have good karma. But even if that were possible, and you told Krishna, oh, I just have good karma, then Krishna would say, okay, so you get a good body. You'll get a better birth. So karma means you're going to come back and get something. So it's a bad deal. If you think about it, it's a bad deal. Because whenever you come back and take another body, even if you have good karma, you have to take another body. You ever get a headache? It's so bad you wish you could leave your body? That ever happened to you? Or you ever get so sick you just think, if I could leave my body right now, that would be the best thing that could happen. Because I'm in this body and this body is sick. Or you break your leg or something, I'm in the body, I can't get out of the body. There are reports of people who have had out-of-body experiences during operations or accidents or whatever. And a lot of times they report that they actually didn't want to go back in their body. It was better out of their body. Interesting, right? So we think, oh, having a body is great because you can enjoy. And these people are finally out of their body and they're saying, that's better. It's better to be out of the body than in the body. They were apparently experiencing some kind of self-realization outside the body, or some kind of spiritual bliss. And they felt it better to be out of the body. So if we have good karma, we get another body, and then, okay, we have another body, and maybe that's good karma, but still have another body. How many of you like going to school? Raise your hand. Grammar school? You like grammar school? Maybe university, but how about 5th grade, 6th grade, 1st grade? All the other kids judging you. Was that fun?
No.
Getting homework. Your mother telling you, do homework. Yeah. So the nature of the world is that even if you have good karma, it's not perfect. So, yes. So, it was nice. What this verse is describing is very beautiful. That when you become a devotee and you give your life to Krishna, you don't have to worry about anything. Krishna will take care of everything. And you might say, well, give my life to Krishna. Yes, because we're going to give our life to something. That's for sure, right? And most people will give their lives to themselves or their families. So, you know, this idea of giving your life to Krishna, sometimes it's scary. People, it makes them feel like they're giving up everything. It's just the opposite. You give your life to Krishna, and then Krishna takes care of everything. Otherwise, we have to take care of everything ourselves, right? So we have, all of you here are going to get old, all of us, excuse me. I'm already there. But those of you who are not there, you will get there. Prabhupada, in his last days, when he was leaving his body, he had not eaten for months. He said, don't think this won't happen to you. You know, I was 27. 27, you don't think that you're going to die? It's irrelevant, isn't it? How old are you?
24.
24. When was the last time you thought about dying? Of course, you're a devotee, so the last time was when you read a verse about it, but when you're 24, you generally think it's at least 50 years away, so why worry about it? But it will come sooner or later. And once a devotee asked Prabhupada, what if I don't think of Krishna at the time of death? Because the idea is Krishna consciousness means you meditate on Krishna. And if you're thinking of Krishna, you go back to Krishna. But what if I don't think of Krishna? Krishna tudiya pada pankacha pancharantam kinkulikshakar. He said, I don't know how I'm going to think of Krishna. When I die, my lungs will be choked with blood. I won't be able to breathe. I'll lose my sanity. I'll be horrified and so forth. How will I think of Krishna? So King Kulikshekar, he was a king, but he was a great devotee. So he said, right now, everything is good, let me just die. I'm thinking of you, Krishna, let me die. At the time of death, I don't know how. Maybe I won't be able to think of you, I'll be deranged. So Prabhupada was asked this question, Srila Prabhupada, what if I don't think of Krishna at the time of death? And Prabhupada said, you give your life to Krishna, he will think of you. So that's the point. Krishna, whatever you lack, Krishna will make up. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana pariyupasate. So whatever you lack, Krishna will make up. So what if I've given my whole life to Krishna. What if I forget Krishna? He'll remember you. There's a beautiful story, and it's funny also. Some of you may know that the temple we have in Mumbai, Bombay, and Juhu was not easy to acquire and not easy to keep, because the man who sold the temple to us was a number one cheater. And his plan was to sell it to us and create a situation by bribing the municipality that we couldn't get the proper permits, and then he would take the temple, the property back from us. So he would sell it, get a down payment. We gave him 50,000, and then he would get. We wouldn't be able to build, and somehow I don't know the details, but somehow or other, he wouldn't have to give the money back, and he would get the land back. Now, to top it off, someone has to make a movie out of this because it's amazing. And to top it off, he was paying our lawyers to work against us. So it was quite a situation, right? So one devotee was helping Prabhupada deal with this situation, and it was really difficult, and it was like a constant struggle, and it was very, very disturbing. So this devotee said, Prabhupada, he said, I'm so disturbed dealing with this, I can't even chant my rounds. And I can't even focus when I chant. And Prabhupada said, me too. So Prabhupada, and the devotee was saying, it's so difficult, I'm not getting any time to properly hear and chant. Gauranga, Nityananda. Can you say Gauranga? Gauranga. So, and Prabhupada needed his help. It was just a very complicated situation. And the devotee was saying, but my mind is just disturbed and I don't have time for reading and chanting and so on. And so Prabhupada said, you just do this service. You just do this service. And Lord Chaitanya will take you back to Godhead. So that's the idea. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana pariupasate. Whatever is lacking in us, Krishna will take care of in ways that we couldn't possibly take care of. And just like we have been in the material world for millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, gazillions of lifetimes. And what are we doing here? Do you know what we're doing here? Anyone have an idea? Why we keep coming back? For the carrot that's in front of our nose. We keep coming back for it. Isn't that interesting? We're coming back because we're not satisfied. In the last life, we were not satisfied. There was something we wanted, and we've come back. And in every life, we're coming back because we're not satisfied. We're trying to make ourselves happy. And we're not completely happy, which definitely proves we're not good at making ourselves happy. And in fact, there's research to back this up. I forget the details of the research, but students were given choices, and then after they made these choices, they were contacted and saying, did you regret the choice? And most of them regretted the choice they made, and they were given a choice of something that would make them happy. But they later regretted it, and this happened continually, which proves that people don't even know what makes them happy. They always choose the wrong thing. Of course, we know that, right? So, now Krishna says, become my devotee. You don't have to worry, I'll take care of everything. That is the faith that Krishna wants us to have. So, now we become devotees. We don't have to try to be happy. It's already included in the package. In the surrender package, happiness is there. You don't have to worry about your next life. It's already taken care of. Everything is there. It's a one package deal. You don't have to buy it separately. But in material life, it's all, okay, let's try to achieve this, and let's try to achieve that, and let's be happy with this, and let's be healthy with this, and let's protect ourselves in this way. So there's several beautiful stories we have heard about our godbrothers. And one of our godbrothers, he had left Krishna consciousness and he had gone far away and had not been very seriously practicing. And we were told at the moment he was leaving his body, he stood up and he saw Prabhupada. Prabhupada was there taking care of him. Have you heard this story before? This devotee's name was Sudama. But there's another devotee, it was even more amazing. He was a sannyasi who later had left Krishna consciousness, but he left in grand style, which means he fell very far very quickly. It's not that how do you fall in grand style? Straight down as fast as you can go. He fell to a very low position. And he was engaged in very tamasic activities. So he was separated from the devotees and not at all engaged. But he had done service. So his wife knew something about Krishna consciousness, but she knew he was a devotee, but he wasn't practicing, so she didn't really know much. She just knew that he was a devotee at one point. And when he was dying, you know what he said? He said, "Oh, Prabhupada, you have come." So the way the story goes, she didn't know who Prabhupada was. And she went to the temple and she said, "Who is Prabhupada?" And they said, "Why are you asking?" He said, "Because my husband, when he died, he said, 'Oh, Prabhupada, you have come.'" One of our god sisters was with Pishima, Prabhupada's sister, when she died. She was taking care of her, and she told me that when Pishima left her body, she saw Prabhupada come with his hand out to take her. Amazing. And she said, she was thinking, what about me? Can I go with you also? So she actually saw Prabhupada. And we told the story last night. I'll tell it again because a lot of you weren't there. Unfortunately, I don't know the context. Just heard this story the other day. I wasn't paying attention entirely, but it sounded like a Hindu lady was in a Muslim country or some country where religion was not allowed to be practiced. And they arrested her for practicing Krishna consciousness. And they wanted to deprogram her. And so this must have been in India or some country where they practice black arts. So they hired a woman who knows black arts to deprogram her, to chant her mantras and so on. And to just, kind of infuse her with some lower consciousness to give up her bhakti. They really wanted her to give up her bhakti. And she didn't know what to do, so she chanted Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Yavise Sasrunyavari Paschate Satai. And so this woman who was hired, who does these black arts, after this lady who was imprisoned chanted this pranam mantra, she walked out of the cell, and the authorities were asking her, "Why are you leaving? You were hired to do your black arts on this woman." She said, "When she chanted this mantra, I saw this sadhu, and he was pointing his finger at me, and he was telling me, 'You leave right now.'" You can say wow if you want. That was a wow moment, wasn't it? So that's the idea, that when I become a devotee, Krishna takes care of what I can't take care of, what I couldn't. How could you take care of yourself in that situation? What would you do? So that's the faith of a devotee. So here, Bhishmadev is leaving, and this verse is saying, despite whatever situation Bhishmadev was in. Now you might say, well, Bhishmadev was on the side of Duryodhana, so maybe he did have some reactions that he had to become purified from. Of course, he's a devotee, but for the sake of argument, we could say even if he had, this verse is saying Krishna will now come at the time of death and take care of everything. You don't have to worry. So that's Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we're creating an endless loop of karma. Avidya, kama, karma be. Bhavesmin klishamananam avidya kama karma be. We can't get out of this mess. It's impossible. Whatever we do just creates more karma, good or bad, and then we're creating the next body. I mean, just look at it. In this world, everyone wants to be beautiful, isn't it? And everyone wants to look young and beautiful, isn't it? Of course, if you're young and beautiful, you don't have to worry about it. But you'll have to worry about it when you're older, because you won't be young and beautiful, and you'll be thinking, I wish I was young and beautiful. And you'll do things to make yourself young. Well, maybe not the men so much, but more the women. It's harder for women because men expect women to be young and beautiful forever. And sometimes they lose their husbands when they get a little less young and less beautiful, unfortunately. So, but all of us, sometimes we see someone who's very beautiful, very talented, and we think, oh, I wish I were like them. Isn't it? I wish, if you go to Sweden, everyone has blonde hair. So they're thinking, oh, I wish I had black hair. You go to India, you think, I wish I had blonde hair and blue eyes. It's just human nature. You want something you don't have. So, oh, I wish I had a body like this, or intelligence like this, or ability like this, or a beautiful face like this. Everybody does that. And so, yes, you will get it. You are creating your next body. You will get it. That's what's going on. That kind of karma is going on. We're always creating the next body, the next better, greener pasture on the other side. That's the nature of this world. We can't get out of it. So, the definition of faith given in our scriptures is that if you serve Krishna, everything else will be taken care of and you don't have to worry. That's called faith. You don't have to make any extra effort. Krishna will take care of you. Okay, what's proof of this? Question number 1. Do you know any hungry devotees? Do you even know any skinny devotees? They're kind of rare, aren't they? Isn't it? Yeah. So somehow or other, we have food. Actually, we have more food than we need. Yes. And somehow or other, we have clothes. And somehow or other, we have a roof over our head. Yes? And are we trying for that? No, we're trying to serve Krishna. When one fully gives their life to Krishna, it is said, and unfortunately I don't know the reference, it is said that when the devotee fully gives his life to Krishna, sometimes he's so busy he can't even take care of himself. And so it is said, because he's so busy giving his life to Krishna, Krishna takes care. Whatever he needs, he just takes care. You need this, you need that, I'll arrange it. Beautiful, isn't it? And we saw that with Prabhupada. And you see that with so many devotees. There's a beautiful story of our temple president in America, in a city called Houston. And they built one of the most beautiful temples in America, maybe the most beautiful temple, maybe one of the most, at least the temple room from the inside is one of the most beautiful temple rooms. And he's been there for 20, 30 years. And he found a job working in a company where he works to repair a machine when the machine breaks down. Apparently, I don't know what machine it is, but apparently it breaks down periodically, or he has to calibrate it periodically. So his job starts at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it ends at noon. And most of the day, he has nothing to do, because the machines don't break down every day. And so what does he do? He chants his rounds and he reads Bhagavatam. And then he comes back at noon and he has the whole rest of the day to manage his temple. So Krishna arranged that for him because he has such a strong desire to be Krishna conscious and serve Krishna and run the temple, and he's been doing that for years. Krishna arranged this beautiful situation for him. Practically his job has nothing to do, and he's home by noon. Isn't that nice? Sounds like a good job, right? You like that? So there are many examples like this of how Krishna takes care of his devotee. But of course, this verse is describing leaving our body. And there's a beautiful conversation where Prabhupada told the devotees, if you chant 16 rounds, of course, we understand, chant properly. If you chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulative principles, in this lifetime you'll go back home, back to Godhead, which seems like amazing. And oftentimes Prabhupada said, in this lifetime you'll see Krishna, in this lifetime you'll dance with Krishna, which seems almost impossible. We don't feel ourselves that Krishna conscious. So when Prabhupada said that, the devotees questioned, Prabhupada, is that all? 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles. And Prabhupada said, yes. And they said, but Prabhupada, there must be other things. That's all? Just chant 16 rounds and follow 4 principles. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's all. And they couldn't believe it. And they said, but Prabhupada, there must be more, something else. It can't just be only 16 rounds and 4 regular principles. That's all you have to do? And you go back to Krishna, and he said, slammed his fist down. He said, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regular principles, and I will take you back home, back to Godhead. Wow. That makes sense, right? We're not that qualified. But as they say in Hollywood, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So if you know a pure devotee, then everything is good. And many of you have heard the story where Prabhupada said, well, you have to be like 90% Krishna conscious to go back to Godhead. And Prabhupada could see on the faces of devotees, they were all feeling like, well, that'll never happen. So he went 80%, he was going down, trying to perk the devotees. Okay, 70%, it wasn't working. And then I think he went down to 50%. And then he finally said, he was, apparently the way the story goes, it was after class, he was walking back to his room. And he said, you just hold on to my lotus feet, or you hold on to my dhoti, and I will take you back to Godhead because I have the key to the back door. So whether there is or isn't a back door, we understand that we are not qualified for the front door. And Prabhupada has the back door pass. And so when you walk in and they say, who are you? You're not supposed to be here. You say, well, I'm with him. And they go, okay, you're in. Right? Just like if you read about the first mantra rock dance in Haight-Ashbury, it was 1968 or 67. All the who's who of San Francisco were there. So, Richard Alpert, who's now, I think his name's Bhagavan Das. He was a famous personality at that time because he was a part of the LSD movement, and he was making LSD, and he was friends with Timothy Leary, and they were kind of the ones who introduced LSD to the hippies. So the person collecting tickets, they said, that's Richard Alpert. Oh, okay. He was a figure. Okay, let him in. So for us, it's going to be like that. Front door is locked. They won't let you in. You go to the back door and you go, yes, I'm with Srila Prabhupada. Okay. That's our faith. We don't feel qualified. But Prabhupada, on other times, he told devotees, do this service and Bhaktivinoda Thakur will come and take you back to Godhead. Lord Chaitanya will come, take you back to Godhead. Distribute my books. You will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Do these services. So I always felt that, well, not really qualified, but if you can please a pure devotee, Krishna is so pleased, he'll bless you in thousands of ways. So this is our philosophy. Someone who's dear to Krishna, you please them, and Krishna becomes so happy with you, he blesses you. So that's our great fortune. So there's a sign that says, Srimad Bhagavatam class ends by 8:15 a.m. and it's 8:14 and 20 seconds. So what should I do now?
Suggestions.
What?
We do questions until 8:30 is when. For 5
Okay.
minutes.
Okay. So, would you like to ask questions, or make comments, or pose arguments? Or you want me to continue? Yes?
Is this the first time us Jivas have come down to this material world?
You've been here a long time. Sometimes, no, it's hard to get out of here once you come here. It's kind of like, you're tired and you fall asleep. It's hard to get up in 5 minutes. We've been here a long time. It's hard to get out of here. So we've been here a long time. And most of us are not trying to get out of here. We're trying to stay here. We're trying to be comfortable here. And that's the struggle. So all the desires we have been cultivated for many lifetimes. So Srila Prabhupada says we've been here from time immemorial, and it means it's so long there's really no number. You can't remember. It's too long. There's no even, it's so far nobody can even calculate. So Prabhupada just says time immemorial. There was a time, but it's so long ago that immemorial is the best way to describe it. Sometimes the beginning of time. It's not the beginning of time, but it's like, sometimes it's described as beginningless time. It's because you can't trace out when it started. So we've been here, and it was very nice statement Prabhupada made. He said, every lifetime you come in this world and you take from Krishna. Okay, what can I get in this lifetime? Oh, I can get a house, get a car, get some land, get this, get that. Maybe I can get guitar or 2 or 5, or, right, a few amps or whatever it is you like, some cameras, some computer, whatever. We're just collecting. So Prabhupada said, every lifetime we're taking from Krishna, so in this lifetime, why don't you give back to Krishna? So Prabhupada's indicating every life we're taking, and no life were we giving. So this one life, give back to Krishna. And so it's a beautiful thought. Because all those lifetimes of taking have created deep conditioning. So we're naturally selfish. It's just our conditioning. We're naturally jealous, greedy, because we've been cultivating it. So now Prabhupada's saying, in this lifetime, just put all that on hold, give it to Krishna. So you can think when your desires are infesting your heart and mind, you can think, well, it's just one life, And remember that in your past lives, whatever it is you're desiring now, you already did it in your past life. It's not new. It only seems new because we can't remember, but it's not new. We've done it. So, I wish I had this. You already had it many times. Many, many times. Who knows, Your last life, you could have been super famous, super wealthy, super everything, but you don't know. But in some life, you were. And now, again, we want it in this life, but we already had it. And then Prabhupada said, give this life to Krishna. If it doesn't work, you'll have another one. You can go back and try to be happy in another way. But give it to Krishna this life. So it's very empowering to think that way. So in spite of the challenges we have, in spite of the mind and its desires, we can think, okay, I'll tolerate it in just this one life, I'll tolerate it. And Prabhupada's saying, so see what happens, try it. Because Prabhupada knows we'll be happy. Happier, inconceivably happy. Far beyond and peaceful and satisfied. Everything will be better. So just hang in there. Yes, sir. Shai, Hare Krishna.
Tamal Krishna Goswami said in Sydney about 19 years ago, he wrote a Gopinath Mandir in Sydney, that there's 16 rounds and regulative principles, that this is the ideal, but he said hardly anyone, he said at the time he knew was chanting 16 rounds within this kind of tentatively and following properly the 4 regulative principles. That's a comment I'm making, perhaps you can take it in further.
Well, I definitely could say 16 good rounds is something we should be striving for. It just doesn't come. We have to make an effort. So, of course, that's for each of us to introspect. How well am I chanting? But generally, from my experience of facilitating japa retreats and workshops, most devotees admit their japa isn't as good as it should be. You know, like I would ask devotees, I'd say, well, you know, on an average day, are you really satisfied that that's like good enough? And most devotees say, no. And then I say, well, take your average japa and consider that for the rest of your life, it never got better than that. Would that be a problem? Everyone said, yeah, that would be a problem. In other words, it's not good enough. So that's definitely a fact. I think I've kind of statistically verified. For most devotees, they feel that, not just out of humility, but objectively, they feel that their rounds need to be better. And but if our rounds are good, then we will be very Krishna conscious, very detached, very inspired. And then naturally the 4 regular principles will come. They'll be very easy to follow. But if we don't chant well, then we tend to be dealing with the modes of passion and ignorance. And in passion and ignorance, how will you follow those principles? Those principles are easily followed in sattva guna. And so proper chanting keeps us in sattva guna. So, you know, looked at it this way, if the goal is to be Krishna conscious, if the goal is to follow principles, we don't want to do anything that's going to make it difficult on ourselves, because ultimately that's what we want to do. And sometimes we might not chant well, but that makes it difficult to follow the other principles that we want to follow. So I was told early on, when I was a devotee, that to follow the 4 regular principles perfectly for one's entire life, that Prabhupada said that would be the exception. And we all thought, how would that be the exception? Because at that point we were all brahmacharis, no problem. You know? But as you get older and settle in, you know, you see where you're really at, and you have to deal with it. And make some decisions. Do you really want to do this? And how much are you willing to give to do this? And that's why I like Prabhupada's statement, just this one life, give it. Because it puts things in perspective. And when it's difficult, you can just remind yourself, well, let me just do it in this one life. You know, like if you're in school and it's really hard and you're working for a degree and you think, yeah, but it's just 2 more years. Something like that. It's just one life. I've had so many lives. It's only one. So that actually helps a lot when there's temptation, when we lack patience, when we're being pulled this way and that way, we can think, but it's just one life. Why don't I give it in this life? And that will help us. And study of Prabhupada's books will tremendously help us in being focused. And chanting properly is the holy name. Everything's in the holy name. The holy name will do everything if we chant it properly. So in that sense, we have nothing to worry about, because the process will work if we work it properly. And we should have that faith. And if that's not happening, then we have to think, perhaps I'm not following well enough, and that's why I have difficulty. But if I follow well, most of those difficulties will be minimized, if not eliminated. At least they won't be major challenges. That's what we see. That's my experience. And that's our experience when we go to the Dham. Everything becomes easier. Right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You had a? Did you have? No. Yes. I can repeat.
But Prabhupada criticised some of the sannyasis in the early days that they were chanting 25, 32, 64 rounds. Prabhupada said you cannot chant more than 16. You'll think of women and sense gratification. He said, because we're so passionate, no, we need to do active devotional service. But should we sometimes practice chanting, 25, 32?
Rupa Rakanath is saying Prabhupada found with some of the devotees, the sannyasis, that if they were chanting more, they weren't qualified. So they would be thinking of sense gratification rather than Krishna. Yeah. I guess the answer is, if that's the case, yes. If that's not the case, why not chant more if you can? Generally, Prabhupada said, chant at least 16. Why only 16? You know, always chant, but not chanting as an excuse to avoid service. And so Prabhupada gave his devotees lots of service, so generally 16, more or less, was the, I mean, not less, around 16, a little more, was the general standard, and the focus was on spreading Krishna consciousness. But those who can chant more, who are qualified, why not? And still maintain their service. You know, the devotees, sometimes they wanted to stay back from Sankirtan on Ekadasi to chant more rounds, because Prabhupada said we should chant more rounds. So then Tamal Krishna Raj said, so Srila Prabhupada, should all the Sankirtan devotees stay back and chant more rounds? Because you said we should chant more rounds. He said, no. He said, that's for the people who are staying back who have nothing to do. You know, not that we have nothing to do, but a little sarcastic. Like those who have time, they're not as so busy. But the Sankirtan devotees know that's a higher service. So preaching is always considered the highest service, but we have to maintain our own consciousness. So sometimes it's very empowering to chant more. But it shouldn't get in the way. So the devotee said, Prabhupada, can we stay up all night on Ekadasi and chant? And Prabhupada said, yes, but don't sleep the next day. You know, so I stayed up all night, that's an austerity. And then, 4 o'clock I went to sleep and I got up at 11. So that's not the idea of staying up all night on Ekadasi. Stay up all night and don't sleep the next day, which is difficult, of course. So I'm assuming nobody did it after Prabhupada said that. So as you say, Prabhupada did emphasize practical service. He knew that was important for us. But as one advances, naturally, taste will increase. If the taste is there, you can chant more. As long as you maintain your service, everything's good. This one of our godbrothers said, he said, I can't chant 16 rounds. And he was GBC and a guru, so everyone was up in arms. He said, actually, I can't chant less than 32. I can't chant 16. I just can't stop. So I have to chant 32. So that's the other side of I can't chant 16. That's the good side of I can't chant 16. So that does happen at a certain stage of bhakti. Like, I can't chant 16. What do you mean? I have to chant more. I'm not satisfied. The appetite's still there. So that's there. That happens. And that's good. If that happens, yeah, why not? As long as we maintain our service, that's great. Is that okay? Yeah. Or, you have time, you go to Mayapur, Vrindavan, you have time, you can chant extra. So conducive there, rejuvenate your batteries. When Prabhupada was here, he said, I want all of you every year go to Mayapur and rejuvenate. So, that meant more chanting, more hearing. So sometimes it's perfect. Then you go back out, you come here and you go back out with renewed energy and give other people Krishna. So that's nice. In our japa retreats, we would chant 64 rounds. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. So it's not normally everyone does that, but it's very empowering to do that sometime. If you've never chanted 64 rounds in your life, definitely you should try it. It's worth it. Give it a test run. It helps. It will help you. Okay, thank you for listening. And Hare Krishna to all of you, and we will see you later somewhere. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Grace Mahatma Prabhu.